Kenny Barron, welcome to Jazz Legends. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You're one of my big heroes.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. And you kind of represent, I spoke to Kenny Kirkland many, many times, and he always said to me, you know, Julian, I owe Kenny Barron royalties for everything that I play. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
He used to say this often to lots of the piano players around here and anybody who would ask him about how he learned to play. Because one time he was asked to play a blues and he could only play boogie woogie blues. And he went away one summer and learnt a blues that you played. And came back and everyone's like, man, in one summer you can play. So, I mean, your influence really does cover a wide spectrum of players and great players. And
I'm really flattered. Wow.
Yeah. So I thought I'd ask you about how you got started on the piano and how did you start constructing the style that you have today?
Well, I started when I was 6 years old, studying classical piano, actually.
Right.
But I guess the first big influence I had in terms of piano was probably Tommy Flanagan.
Right.
You know, and I heard him in junior high school on a recording. I think it was Sonny Rollins or Miles Davis. I can't remember who the leader was. It was called Collector's Items. And I remember the song even. It was one of my friends had it, and it was In Your Own Sweet Way, Dave Brubeck. Yeah. You know, and I listened to the piano player, and I said, wow, that's how I would like to play, you know, 'cause then I listened to the rest of the recording. But I guess what got me about his playing was, number one, was his touch.
Right.
Because it was this very, very light, very delicate touch, and then the ideas. I mean, you know, just the concept was just very, very crystal clear and very logical. So I think those are the things that attracted me to his playing, and also Hank Jones.
Right.
Same thing.
And so when did it start to become a practice for you to play with other musicians? When did you start sort of developing?
I guess from my first gig, which I had when I was like 14, in the same band that my brother, who was my oldest brother, who played tenor saxophone. So it was in the band that he played in. So that was actually my first gig.
That Mel Melvin's orchestra.
Yeah, exactly. And from that time on, you know, and it's funny because when I first started playing, I was started working. I was really into this Horace Silver thing. Right. You know, which is, even though Tommy was my big influence, but I think once I moved to New York and I started playing with, I guess, more experienced players, that's when I finally started to develop.
You moved to New York very young, didn't you?
Yeah, I was 18 when I moved to New York. Yeah, in 1961. You know, and that was a great place then. There was so much music then. You know, wow, you wouldn't believe.
And I mean, who impressed you pianistically when you probably many of the great players were there
so
anyway.
Many. Yeah. I was one of the first people I met was Sonny Clark.
Oh, amazing player.
Was playing great. I first heard Cecil Taylor. You know, playing in a coffee shop. You know, but there were so many players in. Yeah. You know, it's just so many. I can't even begin. You know. And
the first gig, how did you get onto the scene then? You moved there at 18. I mean, a formidable time for you.
I guess one of the fortunate things, I moved to an area called, you know, the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and I could walk to the 5 spot.
Right.
And I went there one night, and James Moody was playing.
Right.
And I asked him if I could sit in. You know, that's something I never do. The music just sounded so good. And fortunately, he knew my brother. So he said, okay, come on. You know, so I sat in, and I started working with him.
Right.
And then that led to my association with Dizzy. Right. Because he joined Dizzy shortly after that. Rejoined Dizzy, I should say, shortly after that. And then I happened to run into him one day on Broadway. And he said, you know, Lalo Schifrin is leaving Dizzy, you know, and they were at Birdland. Yeah. Would you be interested?
Yeah. What are you going to say?
Of course, you know.
Yeah.
Of course I'd be interested, you know. So that's how that was my first big time thing.